If you are not following through with a goal, if you are playing small, if you are not going for something that you want to do because of the fear of judgment, this episode is for you. Judgment makes me so mad because you are literally wasting your potential and you are holding yourself back due to someone else's thoughts and feelings. So you are letting other people's thoughts, feelings, and emotions dictate your action, which in turn means you are not living your life for you. You are living your life based on other people. Now, if this is you, if you are holding back, if your biggest fear is like, what will people think of me? This episode is exactly for you. That's why I made this episode, because I refuse to allow what other people think and feel bother me. And I also want you to be unbothered, because when we stop worrying about other people and we start moving ourselves forward, your whole motivation, discipline, all that stuff starts to change because you're only worried and focused on your goals, on your aspirations, what you have to do. And if other people can't get on board, they can't get on board, and that has nothing to do with you. Hey, welcome back to the Hot Rich Moms podcast. I am your host, Jordan, self-development and transformational coach. I have helped people all around the world reach and keep their goals. I have helped them implement habits and unshakable confidence to allow them to build businesses, go for their dreams, and live life on their terms. But also, I've done it myself as well. I've gone from addict to athlete. I've gone from settling and people-pleasing to a six-figure business owner and a struggling, overweight, depressed mother to thriving mother, woman, partner, and entrepreneur. It is my goal in life to help mothers, to help women find themselves, to reach their goals and claim their power and step into your hot rich mom era, whatever that looks like. So let's just get this out in the open. One, everybody is going to judge. Everybody. Every single person is going to judge. Nobody in this whole world is safe from judgment. We judge celebrities. We judge royalty. We literally sit our asses on the couch and judge Olympians. And don't act like you don't do it, okay? We do it. So no one is safe from judgment. But what is judgment really? And this is a quote from one of my favorite books called The Mountain Is You. And it's all about self-sabotage. And it talks about different types of emotions and what they actually mean. Jealousy is a cover-up emotion. It presents as anger or judgment, when in reality, it is sadness and self-dissatisfaction. Let's all just think about that for a minute. Do you know what that says to me? That says to me that if someone's judging me, it has nothing to do with me and everything to do with them. So there are two main fears. Just so you guys know, I have my coffee, I have my water, my candles going in the background. I'm feeling so frickin' good today. If you don't know, I'm in the middle of the 12-week year and I'm just checking shit off my list, getting the habits down. So when it comes to reaching our goals, stepping into our future self, changing anything in our lives, there's two fears that come along with it. It is the fear of judgment and the fear of inadequacy. So the fear of judgment being, what are people going to think of me? And the fear of inadequacy, what if I don't measure up? We're here to obviously talk about that fear of judgment. And listening to that quote that I just said, if someone is judging you, that's a form of jealousy. And not and maybe not just jealousy, it could be any negative emotion towards what you are doing. For example, it could be fear. It could be that person has never done that before. They don't know much about it. It makes them uneasy inside. So they're going to judge, right? I think about starting my business, and you know how much or how many times the closest people to me will say something negative, will judge me for quitting a good job, for, I'm going to put this in quotation marks, putting my family at risk. How could you do something so unsafe? Blah, 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 blah. Because it's unsafe for them and they've never done it before. So a big thing that I did was stop sharing all of my goals and dreams and admirations with everybody. And because they're not everybody's going to share in that excitement, and that's okay. There are a few core people where I share my business aspirations with. There are a few core people where I share my family and where I talk to like those intimate details and personal details with, right? There's a place for everybody. When I think about judgment and how I go about my life living completely unbothered. Like, I don't care. If I cared about what every single person thought about me, I would still be at some corporate job dating like my shit ex-boyfriend and literally being miserable. Because I would be in a life that wasn't mine. I would be in a life that other people dictated. And that to me is a nightmare. That to me feels like a weight on my chest, is living in a world for other people and not for myself. So if you have a fear of being judged, please flip your perspective a bit and really think about, if that person is judging you, what does that say about them? What do they maybe not understand? Is it fear? Is it, like we just said in that quote from The Mountain Is You, is it self-dissatisfaction? Are you doing something maybe that they wish that they could do? And a lot of the time, especially because I'm in the content creation space, a lot of the time is like, I want to be a content creator. I want to be an influencer, but there is still, and people feel shameful for wanting to do that. Well, what would this person say? Who gives a shit? They probably want to be an influencer too. Come on. What does it say about them and less of what it says about you? How can we start to move forward and not have this fear of judgment? The first thing that I would say is just accept the fact that people are going to judge you. Like, it is going to happen. Like I said at the beginning of this podcast, nobody is safe, babe. We are literally sitting on our asses judging professional athletes every single day. We literally sit at home and judge royalty, judge celebrities, judge people at the top of their game. And then we also judge people who are not at the top of the game, who are maybe even at rock bottom. So nobody is safe. People are going to have the opinions on the way you parent, on the way you cook, on the way you work out, on the way that you work, on your hobbies, whatever it is. But like I said, that's on them. That has nothing to do with you. And you need to control how you react to it. You need to control your thoughts around it, and you need to control what actually affects you. So we need to start filtering what people are saying. And then the second point that I want to come to is choose who you're going to share with. If you can't filter out all the judgment that people are going to huck your way because it is inevitable, just choose. Choose who you're going to share your excitement on that specific thing with. So I think about, we were out, it was my dad's birthday in October, and we went out for brunch or whatever, my sister and I, my dad. That's all he wants for his birthday. It's just a meal with his daughters. And I filmed a little bit of it. I talked about content, whatever. And then I didn't talk, I just filmed a little bit of it, filmed like a vlog. And in the middle of the lunch, I was like, oh, just so you guys know, my business is XYZ. I said something about the business. It was super random, mind you. I interrupted a little bit of the conversation. But the reason I said it is because I wanted to write off that brunch as a work brunch. So I made a little joke because my dad used to do that all the time when he worked as a contractor. So he would just be like, hey, work's really good. And I'd be like, oh, okay, that's no problem. He'd be like, okay, now I can write off lunch. So I did the same thing. And my dad's like, oh. And I was like, he's like, oh, good. And I was like, yeah, Dad, I want to write off my lunch. He's like, oh, I figured it was because we didn't even ask you about it. Am I shocked? Am I upset? Am I mad that my sister and my dad didn't ask, because how's work going? That's a normal question that we ask people. But because I run my own business and because, hey, what do you do? Oh, I'm a transformational coach and a content creator. People just look at me with like dead in the eyes. And that's why I think it's so funny. This is a side note. That's why I think it's so funny that people tell me that content creation is oversaturated, because when I tell people what I do, they're like, what the fuck? So anyway, so my dad and my sister in particular, sorry if you guys are listening, we don't really bring up my business. We don't really talk about it because they don't get it. They do not get it. It is too unsafe for them. Both my sister and my father need the safety of sure work. And that's okay. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. But that's an example of who I choose to share my excitement with. I used to, talk to my dad about it. I used to talk to my sister about it. Now, I'm good. Same with bodybuilding. Some people think it's super fucked up. Sorry, I think my son's somewhere up here. Some people think it's super weird. It's super fucked up. They think that they think 1,000 things about it, but that's what people do. They're going to huck their judgment. So you need to stop sharing everything with everyone. I know you're excited, and that's the thing, right? I know that you're so freaking excited that you're going on this new journey and this new adventure, and it's going to be awesome. And you've been visualizing achieving the goal, and it's so great. And you just want to scream it from the rooftops. I hear you. I know. But then you're going to tell that one person that's going to have that negative feeling or negative connotation around it, and they're going to bring your ass down. And then you're going to know from here on out, maybe we're just not going to share this one little aspect of our life with that person. It's funny. I had a mentor, and I'm going to move on from stop sharing because I think you get it. I had this mentor, and she just explained to me, she was like, Jordan, think about people who run a marathon. Not everybody understands why you're even running the marathon. Not everybody wants to run the marathon with you. But you know what? Your people are still going to be there at the finish line cheering you on because they do love you and they do support you. And I'm not telling you to kick these fucking people out of your life. I'm just saying that not everybody wants to come on the journey with you. Not everybody shares in that excitement with you. And unfortunately, sometimes that comes off as judgment. So let's just choose who we share that aspect with. Let's just choose who we're going to share with. Another thing that we need to do is, when I talked about filtering the words out, taking control of our own thoughts, we cannot control other people. We have no control over what people think, over what people do. We can only control ourselves. And so we need to take control over our own thoughts. Our brains are wonderful at making up stories. They are. They really are. Think about if someone's texting you and those little dots pop up and then they go away. 1,000 thoughts, 1,000 stories. When this is actually an example from Brene Brown. Her and her husband, whether this is true or not, whenever something's going on, they say, or if they're having an argument, or maybe they have thoughts going on in their head, whatever it may be, they say, hey, the story that I'm telling myself is. And Mike and I actually adopted this, and it really helped our communication, because you could be in a fight with somebody and you could be stewing up in your room, or they could have even just said a comment. They could have said something so small and your brain just goes completely wild with it. So Mike and I just started saying, hey, the story that I'm telling myself is X, Y, and Z. And the other person either completely debunks it, oh my God, I'm so sorry, or then you move on from there. But at least you're letting them know, hey, that my brain is running away from me. We need to control our thoughts, control our stories, recognize that they could be just thoughts and stories. When it comes to controlling our thoughts and our feelings and the stories that our brain is telling ourselves, think about your future self. I love my future self. My future self, completely unbothered, doesn't give a fuck. How would your future self think, feel, about other people judging them. Probably also unbothered. Probably also strong, probably also confident, probably also just so sure of themselves that they're gonna do it anyway, regardless of what anybody fucking thinks of them. That's how my future self acts. So if I start to have these thoughts, have these stories, worry about people's judgment, have a fear of judgment, and I feel like I get into this sticky place where it's holding me back, okay, how would future Jordan think, feel, be, right? Be to have method all the way home. I need to adopt who that person is first. And that person is completely unbothered. That person is not worried about what another person is thinking about their actions. Why? Because we are sure within ourselves, this is what we want in our life, which kind of flows into like the second thing. When it came to me literally not giving a fuck. So I talk about when I was 29 a lot, right? Like I had this, they always say it's a midlife crisis, but it happened to me at 29, so not even mid, a third life crisis. I took all this wild, crazy action. I blew up my life. I quit my corporate job. I went back to serving. I left my boyfriend at the time. I got my own apartment. I got a business coach. I got a bodybuilding coach, and I just went like all in on my life. And people thought I was insane. People thought I was psycho. They thought I was burning my life down. Oh my gosh, you need to get back together with him. He's perfect for you. Blah, 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 blah. What do you mean? You left your corporate job. You left your benefits. Like it was a shit show. And I am for certain, my family loves a good goss. I am for certain that they stood around and they talked about it, but I was completely unbothered. Why? Because I knew that this was going to be so awesome for me. I knew that I was going to accomplish something. I was so sure in the path that I was taking. So I just kept telling myself, they just don't have the same vision that I do. They don't have the same experiences that I have. They can't see the road like I do. They don't want the same life. They don't want the same outcomes. But they made their own sacrifices to get the life that they have. And then it came down to, if the actions that I am taking are creating a negative emotion for you, once again, that is you to reflect on, not me. I don't need to do anything different because I know the actions and the goals that I'm working on achieving, they're not hurting anybody. Me wanting to be a bodybuilder isn't hurting anybody. Me wanting to start a business isn't hurting anybody. And me wanting to be a public speaker isn't hurting anybody. Me leaving my corporate job and going back to waiting tables, that's not hurting anybody. And I am doing something that is so in alignment with me. So if you have a problem with it, you need to sit down and do some fucking journaling. Not me. If you want a different life, if you want to level up in your life, if you literally want to change anything, things are going to have to be different. You are going to have to do different things every day. You are going to have to implement different habits. You are going to have to change things, and change makes other people uncomfortable. Change will make you uncomfortable, sure, but it's your goal. We know the road. We know the destination. We know where we want to go. So we are prepared to get uncomfortable. And if what you are doing isn't hurting anybody and people are still judging you, like I said, baby, that's on them. I'm going to take the actions that I need to take to create the life that I want. As humans, we want validation. We want acceptance. That's literally just how we are wired. But stepping into yourself unapologetically, embarking on a new journey, that could bring you to an incredible outcome. And living your life authentically will call in those who want to be around you and to support you in that journey. It will attract the right people. So don't you worry if you're not bringing everybody in. Because like I said, on the journey that you're going on to better yourself, to level up your life, to become that future person that we talk about all the time, you will find your person, you will find your people if you are being authentically yourself. If you are being unapologetically, I'm stepping into this person, this is my future self. And if some people can't accept it, I'm just so sorry for them. That is so on them. It has nothing to do with you. You are amazing and you are wonderful. And if the fear of judgment is holding you back, jealousy is a cover-up emotion which presents as anger or judgment, when in reality it is sadness and self-dissatisfaction. So it is on them. It is not on you. They do not have the same vision. They do not see it as you do, and that is okay. All right, guys, thank you. Thank you so much. I'm so happy that you are here, that you're listening to this, and I'm just hoping that you are able to just move on and reach your goals without worrying about judgment, without worrying about what people give it. Like, just who gives a fuck about those people? Other people's thoughts can't dictate your life, and we talk about this so much in the On the Rise membership, because I do know it is such a predominant fear when it comes to moving forward, but it's such an amazing group of supportive women. And when I talk about you will find your people, that's a place where people have found their people. That's a place where people have found support when it comes to goal chasing, and have found people to not only myself hold space for my members, but other members holding space for other members, because we're the people that you share with. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Hot Rich Mom podcast. If you are wanting more self-love, confidence, and to build healthy habits that will bring you closer to your future place, please follow along. And also, maybe share this with someone who you know might need to hear it today. Alrighty, I'm Jordan Lynn, and I'll see ya in the next one.